to Discovering Journeys, the podcast where individuals from all walks of life come together to share their experiences. I am your host Sujala, and in each episode, I bring you unique perspectives from those who have embraced change and growth. Whether you're seeking inspiration, fresh insights, or simply curious about different life paths, this podcast will connect you with journeys that resonate and inspire. Please note, the content shared on this platform is solely for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes. The opinion shared by the guests are their own personal views, as it is based on their personal journeys and should not be construed as professional advice. Thank you. Grief has a way of arriving uninvited, changing our lives in ways we never imagined. But what happens when, in the face of unimaginable loss, someone chooses to move forward with purpose, resilience, and hope? Today, I am honored to welcome Lynn Lewis, a mother who faced the devastating loss of her son in August 2019. Rather than allowing grief to consume her, Lynn has embraced the power of sharing her story, navigating the depths of sorrow while finding ways to create a meaningful and impactful life. In our conversation today, we will explore how she manages her grief, the challenges she faces, and the choices she makes each day to keep moving forward. Lynn's journey is one of courage, love, and unwavering decision to live purposefully, despite the heartbreak she carries. Hello, Lynn. Welcome to my podcast and thank you for being my guest.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I truly appreciate your willingness to share your grief journey with me. I understand it's not easy, so I'll try to honor your journey in a right way possible. So, at any point of time you want to take a break, please do so and take your time.
Thank you.
Please tell me about your son and the bond you shared with him.
Oh, wow. Thank you for asking. My son is Daniel Brooks Lewis. He's my only child. He passed away when he was 30 years old, which was 5 years ago on August 4th. We had a great bond. We had this running joke that he was my favorite child. And he would always say, Mom, I'm your only child. And I would say, but you're my favorite. Um, he was a professional firefighter. He was not on duty at the time of his death, but he was a professional firefighter here in the U.S. where we live. Um, he was a joker. He was a hugger. He loved his family. I mean, family just meant a lot to him. He was single and he did not have any children at the time of his death. But he loved children and children loved him. He had several godchildren. Um, but he would always say, they're like library books. I can send them back. I don't have to keep them. But yeah, he was a good young man, good young man, who obviously had some things going on that he kept to himself, and actually he died by suicide. He went missing. He did not show up for his duty at his fire station on Monday, July 29th of 2019. His dad got a call from his crew saying that he hadn't shown up, which was unusual for him. And they called us, and we didn't know where he was. We didn't hear anything from him until 6 days later on Sunday, August 4th. The authorities from the county, the fire department, and the city police department showed up at our home that Sunday night to tell us that he had passed away. He had been found deceased, and he was actually in another state 5 hours away from us. So it took us a while to work the logistics to get his body back to where we live. And so that was another 9 days before we actually had his service. But we had a good bond. We never, he was the child that never said "I hate you" and was disrespectful. He would give you looks, but he never verbally, went through that phase where children hate their parents and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, we had our ups and downs, but he was overall a good son, and we were looking forward to having adventures together. Um, my I was exactly 30 years older than him, so we had planned to have some adventures together. I had recently retired from my job, so we were planning to have some trips. But anyway, he left before that, and so that was my baby boy.
How did you navigate the early days and, make sense of this profound loss?
Well, it didn't make sense. And to this day, I still say, and it's 5 years later, it's gut wrenching, heartbreaking, unexplainable, as any situation can be. At least it's been the worst for me, and I've been through several things, but this is by far the worst. So it's still that. But how I think the first year, it was a lot of fantasy. Like, okay, I know he's gone, but is he really gone? And it was taken because he didn't have a wife or any type of partner. So his dad and I had to take care of all of his business stuff, which I did a lot of it because his dad was working. So I had take care of a bunch of that stuff. And I think I was just kind of on autopilot that first year. It was very emotional, just thinking, okay, am I going to wake up from this bad dream? And though I knew it was real, but there were times when I would go to I call it my fantasy, um, thinking, okay, maybe not. So that's kind of how I managed the first year. The second year, I really don't remember a lot of what happened the second year, but the third year was the worst year so far. I think that whole, okay, all of the business is taken care of, the finality. And so I really found myself being in a not dark place, but just a really place of numbness. And, I was functioning, but yeah, that was a hard year. That was a hard year, that year number three. So,
At any point, was there an anger in you?
oh, definitely anger. And even still, sometimes anger is one of the emotions that will present itself to me. But yes, I was angry at him because of the way he left. And I kept saying, why did it have to be this way? Why couldn't you have talked to somebody? He had a good relationship with me and his dad. Um, but he never, so I was angry about that. I tried to be angry at his two best friends because they were together all the time. And angry at them for why didn't you know? And then angry just kind of at myself for not knowing, not picking up, not what was it that I missed? What was it that we missed? So yeah, anger was a part of it, but my personality is one to not allow anger to fester. So I go in and out of the anger part, but that it was definitely there, and it still comes into play sometimes.
Yeah, it doesn't leave you. There is
No,
this wish which just there in your stomach.
yes,
Grief often takes different forms and shapes for different people. How has it been, or how has it evolved over time for you?
Initially, the first years, the first couple of years, I felt like I was in a jungle, and that there was this like lion that was waiting to jump out at me. So I really just feel like I was going in the forest, just in a jungle, and so in my mind I envisioned my grief like this. It was some days I would know that the lion was coming. So I felt like I was in a jungle, like at any minute, a lion or a tiger or something would jump out at me. And there were some days that I felt it coming, like, okay, I know it's coming. I know this lion is getting ready to jump out at me. So I was prepared. There were other days when the lion snuck up on me. That's the days that I didn't feel like getting out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I couldn't pray for myself. I asked my friends, I let my friends know, this is a rough day. Then there were times that it was as if we played fair, like, okay, grief, you stay right here and I'm right here and we're going to move forward. So it was as if the lion was walking beside me, and you know it in its space and I'm in my space moving forward. And so that's how it was for a bit. And I even had asked an artist, I had spoken to an artist to do some type of rendition of that, like the lion, the jungle. And but as time has gone on, I don't feel like I'm in a jungle, but there are still those days that the same kind of thing happens. Like it'll sneak up on me, those grief bursts, or something will come up that my grief is activated. So now it's more of um, I'm a warrior, and this grief is not going to beat me. I am a warrior. And I even, when I identify myself as that, probably in the third year, one of my colleagues challenged me and said, that sounds so harsh. That sounds like you going to war, a warrior. And I said, and it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to war with this grief. It is not going to take me out. I'm going to fight with all I have to not, and and what I said is I'm not going to die with my son. I can't change what happened, but I'm not going to die with my son. So yes, I'm a warrior. I'm a grief warrior. I have a warrior mindset that I'm winning. I'm winning, and not only for me, but for every other mother who has been through this, is going through this, and perhaps they don't have a voice yet, or they haven't found their voice yet. But I found my voice, and I'm going to talk about my son, and if they want to talk about their children, we're going to have those conversations. And we are not going to feel ashamed of what the final decision that they made. We're not. So, yes, I'm a warrior, I'm a grief warrior. So that's how it's evolved over the past 5 years.
What was some of the harshest thing you had to hear? There are people who don't understand what grief is.
To be honest, I have not heard, personally, I have not heard any really harsh things to that said to me or about my son. The worst, the one that with two kind of sticks out a little bit, is a lady that I know whose son is also a firefighter in the same city. She, when Daniel first died, she asked her son if excuse me, if he knew my son. And he said, I don't know if he said he knew him, but he said, oh, he was just a rookie. And that bothered me because what if he was, and he was a rookie in our city, but he had worked elsewhere, so he had really been a professional firefighter for 6 years. So he wasn't a rookie in the fire service. But I just thought that was kind of mean for her son to say. But I honestly cannot say that anything harsh has been said to me. Now I can say that some of my um, friends, the people that I've made friends with since I've been on this journey, they've had some harsh things said to them, like, your person is going to hell. That's unforgivable. Um, those kinds of things. The platitudes, you should be over this by now, or and honestly, I am waiting. I'm waiting subconsciously for that person to say, well, he chose to do that. And while he did, that's true, but it still does not, um, I still have the broken heart. I still have the hurting heart. Um, and the reason I say that is because so many people have experienced the death of their child by sickness, being murdered, and, different types of death. And so I wouldn't be surprised if at some point I run into that parent, that if I'm speaking or, maybe talking about my son, that's eventually going to come out. It hasn't so far, but I'm not going to be surprised when it does. And so my response will be just what I said. Yes, he did, but I'm still experiencing the grief and the pain and the heartbreak, just like you are. So, and that's what I share when I am speaking, or just talking to someone, to say, it still does not negate your grief, because now their story is over, right? But my story continues. And so what you're doing now is, you're helping me, or you should be helping me to navigate, to maneuver. And so if you don't have anything nice to say or good to say, just, don't say it. And I know my son was no angel. He was not. He was not. He had his issues, we had our issues, but that was still my child, and I'm still hurting because of the choice that he made, and always will. So
Yeah. Some people, the understanding and the way they perceive things can be so different. And what they don't understand is, at the end of the day, you're the mother.
exactly, exactly, and I'm the same as the mother that whose child died other ways.
Were there any moments or experiences that marked as a turning point in your healing journey?
One happened very early on, actually 7 months after his death. The first thing happened. It was a Sunday morning, and I was waiting. We were away, and I was waiting for my husband to get ready for the day. And we were actually getting ready to meet two of Daniel's friends for lunch. And I was just sitting, and I think I have read something inspirational, devotional, something. But the thought came to mind is, this is going to be with me for the rest of my life. And I am not going to allow it to consume me. Meaning, yes, I'm going to think about it all the time. I'm going to talk about it, whatever happens, but I'm not going to allow it to consume me. I am choosing to move forward, to live a meaningful and impactful life despite what has happened. And when I say not consume me, is it's not going to take me out. It's not going to put me in the hospital. It's not going to put me in this, I don't want to live because my son is not here. And to date, that has not happened. Yes, I have my rough days. I still have my tearful days, my, why days. But that was the very first turning point. When I made that declaration, I did not know what that was going to look like as far as how I was going to manage that and not be consumed and all of that stuff. But I made that declaration and I thought, well, if I need some to figure it out how it's going to happen. I was in, I had done a group support for suicide loss. I don't know if I had started, I think I may have started my therapy at that time, but I just figured it's got to be a way that I can do this. And so I went to the internet looking to see what might be out there to help persons that had the same attitude as I had. And I found grief coaching. And so that's how I managed to be in this arena today.
What made you choose this meaningful and purposeful life? Was it you wanted to, or you were just trying to heal and you found a way?
Um, mm, it's a good question, but it may be kind of twofold. I I I wanted to because I wanted a way to help myself heal. I wanted a way, and I found out that helping myself was helping others, and vice versa. You know, my talking about my situation was helpful for others. And so I just adopted that. And so now that's what, even on the days that I don't want to necessarily, but then I think about somebody else is on day one or year two, and they need to know that they can get to year four, they can get to year five. And, and now it's just what I do. It's what I do, and um, I enjoy helping people. And even before all of this happened 5 years ago, I my purpose, I believe that one of my purposes in life was to encourage and inspire other women to, because I grew up, I was very shy all through, school. I was very shy. I got to a point it's like, okay, I want to encourage women. I want to let them know that they can have a voice. Because once I think I took a class or something through work on positive impact, and I realized that I can have an impact on others, a positive impact. And it kind of just grew from there over the years, and just being an inspiration to other women, and and just participating in activities in my church, in the community, even at work, just being that welcoming person. Because again, I was very shy, not at home, but I was very shy outside of home. And I whenever I saw somebody that seemed to kind of be like the underdog, so to speak, that were looking like they were by themselves, I would approach them, and it just kind of evolved that I became this person that I want to help other people be seen and be heard, know that they are seen, know that they are worthy and useful. And then once Daniel's death happened, I just kind of transferred that energy to, okay, we're going to do this grief coaching thing, and we're going to walk this thing out together. And I know that it's beneficial because I've had many people tell me that it is. They applaud me for being able to be a voice for many. And it's really helpful to me. It really does help me. And it's, again, I know my son had his own. We all have our issues, right? Whatever they may be. I'm not trying to. I don't try to enshrine him or, make him out to be this perfect person. But he, I'm keeping his memory alive. I want people to know who he was, and he made an impact in his community. And so I want people to continue to know that. And that was my favorite man child. That was my boy. And so yeah, that's what I do.
Could you share your support group of people?
I have a couple of ladies who have been, I mean, we were friends before, but they just check in on me. So one of them, a few of them are at church, and they kind of watch me if they think or sense that I'm having a rough day. They are beside me. They may not say anything, but they are, there. Excuse me. And then I have some friends outside of church, some who I've met since we've been on this journey together. They are my support group. There were 4 or 5 people, ladies, that I appointed as my aftercare team shortly after the death happened. So okay, my aftercare team, I still reach out to them. They still support me. And then I've made some friends, if you will, along the way since I've been coaching, since I've been speaking. I have good support. I do have good support. And of course my husband, yeah, we support each other. We check in with each other.
What gives you hope on the hard days?
What gives me hope on the hard days is just that hope that I can do this. That what my doing this, acknowledging that it happened, accepted that it happened. That's my hope. Is that um, it is hope, because I'm helping myself. I'm helping other people. People are sending people to me, and so again, I know that there is hope in all of this. That it's not going to go away. It's not going to change, but there's that hope that I'm going to, and I am not just surviving, but I am thriving in the aftermath of this situation that presented itself in my life, unexpected and uninvited, and it's not a thing I can do about it. But I have that hope that I can continue to live, to move forward, and I can. Um, I have joy. I do know that joy and sadness can coexist because, as I've said of late, um, Daniel's death is always playing in the background, like subconsciously. There's not a day that I don't think about some part of it or him. But at the same time, I have joy in the things that I do. Some things that I know that he would have liked to have done with me. So I have that joy and that peace, and so that's where my hope is, that I will never lose that joy and that peace.
Are there any books or material that helped you, or you read something which really helped you to just navigate?
Oh yes, there are a couple of books. I should have pulled them off my bookshelf.
It's okay, you can tell me later and I can put in the show notes. It's fine.
But yes, I'll send you a couple of books that have been helpful.
You have written a journal. Tell me more about it.
I wrote this journal because, excuse me, I started like when I'm cleaning out stuff, or just how little cards, or old cards. I keep cards and note cards, and so even some of the little things that he drew or notes that he wrote when he was a child or much younger. And I started thinking, I would like to have all of these in one spot instead of having it stuck in a book here or a drawer here or there. And I thought, well, and then there were those times when I had questions that I'll probably never get an answer to, but nevertheless questions. Um, And so I was in a women's business summit this time last year, and we were talking about writing books. And so I made the comment that I wanted to do a journal that would be geared toward survivors of suicide. And so there was a lady there who she works in mental health and stuff like that. And she said, she really encouraged me because she said, there are a lot of journals on the market, but not a lot that's geared towards suicide survivorship. And so that was like she watered that seed that was already there. And 7 months later, I had, with the help of someone, I had I did all of the writing. I had someone put it all together for me, and it was published. The difference in my book, I believe, is because I have prompts, like journal prompts, and such as, what are three things that I wish I had known about suicide loss? I have a space for pictures, or, like I talked about, those cards and stuff like that. I have a section with quotes. I have a section with just plain line paper where you can write your own stories or letters, and then some resources. So I call it a journal slash memory book, and it's hopefully will be like a companion for someone that they can, perhaps if they are having a rough day, or just want to, are thinking about their loved one, they can go back and look through the book and make notes. And so that's my book. That's my solo project, my first solo project.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
What hurts you the most, even today?
What hurts me the most? That he made that final decision. He and that I always wonder what was he what was on his mind, like those days leading up to, and he decided not to show up for work. What was what was going on, because it appeared that he was by himself those last um 7, 8 days of his life, that he didn't. The last that we could find that he talked to anybody was that Friday. Excuse me. No, no, it would have been that Saturday when he left work. So he got off that Sunday morning, because my husband actually texted him and he texted him back. But to our knowledge, that was the last time that he actually spoke to anybody, according to his phone records. And so, what was going on in his mind? How was he feeling? Oh my goodness. And I'll never know, because he left no notes, nothing. It's like he just left.
How do you want to honor your son's memory while you are navigating your own path now?
I feel like I am honoring his life, his memory, by what I'm doing. Sometimes it's almost as if I sense I call it his hand at my back, like pushing me forward, like saying, I couldn't stay, but keep going, that I'm proud of you. Um, I remember,
Please take some time, it's okay.
I remember him telling me one time that I was a phenomenal woman. And so I hold on to those things as I move forward. And I just think that me telling our story is honoring him. Um, Another way that I do it is I'll give to, like, big, what is it, Big Brothers Little Brothers, that organization, that because he participated in that for a while before he moved back to our area. And then, of course, I give to the Full Circle Grief Center, which is where my husband and I did our grief counseling therapy and group, and then we still volunteer for them. And then I've done a couple of walks with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, um, and even writing, putting our story in books. Because eventually somebody is going to pick it up and say, "Wow, she did that. I can do that." So to me, that's honoring his life. Yes, he loved people, so he did some good things. It was just whatever that load was that he didn't share, that he couldn't manage. He chose not to manage it anymore for whatever reason.
What makes you come out and share your story and the learnings?
I do it because, again, I believe that my story is somebody else's painkiller, somebody else's solution to somebody else's problem that's wondering, how can I do it? Nobody has convinced me yet that otherwise. So I'm going to keep telling this story because, again, I believe that it's helpful to somebody else. Self love is very important to me, which includes the self care. But I've gotten to a point in my life, especially since his death, that taking care of myself and not sacrificing myself is of the utmost importance, because grief work is hard work. And if I don't take care of myself, I won't be able to do it. And I want to do it because, again, I believe it's honoring him. I know that it is helping me, and I believe that it's helping. And I know that it's helping some other persons.
What would you tell to somebody if they're starting their grief journey?
What would I say to a person who is just started on the journey and maybe just feeling that overwhelm is, first of all, to breathe. Just breathe. Just just allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to feel all of the emotions that are going to come. Give yourself grace, and give those emotions their space. They're not going to last always, but give them their space. And so that's just some of the things that I share with people. And then you get to choose. You get to choose how you want to move forward. There are persons who don't want to move forward, and I'm not judgmental of them. But I had to move forward because it was just too heavy for me to just just sit in it. Just sit in it. I That was too much for me. But for the persons that are choosing to move forward, that want to move forward, then, how do you want that to look despite what has happened, what has taken place? How do you want that to look? What's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? So those are just some of the things that I share.
Your strength, your willingness to share and navigate the path, and the path you've chosen to, of meaningfulness and like the purpose, is truly inspiring. And thank you for sharing such a deeply personal part of your life with me today. Thank you, Lynn.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure meeting you, despite what we had to talk about.
Yes, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Discovering Journeys. I would love for this podcast to reach as many people as possible. So please remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a positive review. Share this podcast with someone you think who would appreciate this conversation. Check out the show notes for all the links and details. Until next time, keep embracing your journey and discovering new paths.